them. They are heroes. We look at that and we think, really, if you believe that 20-week fetuses experience pain to that extent, wouldn't they also experience pain from electronic fetal monitors put through their scalps, from forceps deliveries, from Pitocin-induced labor? And if your response to fetal pain is to outlaw something, then you're going to also have to outlaw certain kinds of vaginal birth.
One of the participants in the Blair House Obama Healthcare Summit was Oklahoma Senator Coburn. His views on abortion?
Well, he has said that he believes that doctors who perform abortions should receive the death penalty. And in his state, women who experience stillbirths that the state claims was caused by something they did have been charged, in fact, with murder. In every state but South Carolina and potentially Utah, those prosecutions lack any legal support. And if the woman is lucky enough to be adequately represented, eventually, perhaps years after she's been in prison, she can get those charges dropped. But South Carolina, as a result of judicial activism, and now Utah, is making it possible to put women behind bars because they are either trying to go to term or because they take desperate measures not to.
Tom Coburn is a doctor and
Yes.
was sued by a woman who charged that he sterilized her without her knowing it, that he had gone in to save her life, really. I think she had an ectopic pregnancy in a fallopian tube, and he removed that, but he removed the good tube as well.
Interesting.
The case ultimately dismissed because she didn't show up in court.
Well, we know more and more as Catholic hospitals become the only hospital in town. There are more and more reports of women who go to those hospitals with ectopic pregnancies. Those are pregnancies in fallopian tubes. The embryo can never survive. It's not a question of an abortion. It's a question of saving the woman's life. And recently we got a call from a woman where she was in agonizing pain. The fallopian tube could explode, putting her life at risk. And the Catholic hospital said, there's still a heartbeat, go home and wait. And so they force women to suffer unbelievable pain or to travel hundreds of miles to a hospital that will treat them as human beings, not as subjects of religious orthodoxy.
Is anti-choice legislation on the rise? Have things changed during the Obama years, or I should say year?
Well, there's no question, and this was unfortunately well predicted, that violence has reemerged. The murder of Dr. Tiller, bombings of clinics, that when the anti-choice movement feels less empowered, they increase their violence. It's hard to say if there's more legislation. Every year, hundreds and hundreds of pieces of legislation in the state legislatures are proposed to regulate abortion. And I want to point out that what that means is that all of the other issues of concern about women's health, breast cancer, heart disease, the rising rate of unnecessary C-sections, none of that gets addressed because our state legislators will only focus on women's issues if they are about restricting in a greater way access to abortion. What I think may have changed is a rise in a more openness about what they're really trying to do. And what they're really trying to do is, in the guise of barring harm to unborn children, and sometimes they claim harm to pregnant women, what they're really doing, as in Utah, is trying to put pregnant women behind bars.
Finally, Terry O'Neill, as you listen to this discussion on what pregnant women face around the country, the overall issue of how the state deals with women dealing with violence. You talked about training police, sheriffs around domestic violence. Your final comment.
Well, yeah, I think we need far more resources put into programs that end violence against women. And let me just say one thing that Lynn Paltrow said. You were asking about laws around the country and anti-abortion laws. Even in the United States Congress, in the current health reform laws, we have seen both the House of Representatives and the Senate insert language into the health reform bill that would eventually, to a near certainty, eliminate private insurance coverage for abortion care as well as public. The Senate bill takes a little longer to fully eliminate all private insurance coverage of abortion care. The House bill does it a lot more quickly, but both have these same ultimate results. So it's not just in the states; it's in the United States Congress as well. In terms of ending violence against women and ensuring that women have control of their own bodies, I think one of the things we really need to look at is who's in charge here. We have 17% of the United States Congress is women. That's not critical mass. It certainly isn't half, and women do account for a little over half of the population of the United States. 5 of the United States Supreme Court justices need to be women. Period. End of discussion. At minimum 4. Currently, only 2